The blackout is almost over. For 6 days, since October 29th when Atlas reached perihelion, the most anomalous object ever detected in our solar system has been completely hidden from our telescopes, concealed behind the sun, invisible to every observatory on Earth. We couldn't see what happened at the most critical moment. We couldn't observe the processes occurring as 33 gigawatts of solar radiation bombarded its surface. We couldn't detect whether it maneuvered, whether it fragmented, whether something extraordinary took place during those 6 days of darkness. But tomorrow, November 4th, the blackout ends. And what we discover in the next 48 hours could answer the question that's been building since July. Is Atlas a natural comet from another star system? Or are we looking at something artificial? Let me tell you what's about to happen, and why the next 2 days represent the moment of truth. Tomorrow morning, the European Space Agency's JUICE spacecraft makes the first post-perihelion observation of Atlas. JUICE will pass 64 million kilometers from the object, close enough for its sensitive instruments to capture detailed images, measure brightness, analyze the coma, and detect what perihelion did to this mysterious visitor. This is the moment we've been waiting for. The first chance to see Atlas after it experienced maximum solar heating. The first opportunity to measure whether anything changed during those 6 invisible days behind the sun. And there's one critical thing JUICE needs to find: a massive cloud of gas and dust surrounding Atlas. Let me explain why this matters so much. On October 29th, as Atlas passed through perihelion, the Atacama Large Millimeter Array detected something that shouldn't be possible. Atlas was 4 arc-seconds away from where gravitational physics predicted it should be. It had accelerated. Something pushed it off its purely gravitational trajectory. There are only 2 explanations for this non-gravitational acceleration. Either Atlas is outgassing violently, ejecting massive amounts of gas like a rocket thruster, or it has an engine, natural process, or artificial propulsion, comet, or spacecraft. Here's the problem with the natural explanation. Avi Loeb calculated that if this acceleration comes from thermal outgassing, Atlas would need to lose at least 1/6 of its total mass during the perihelion month. 1/6 of a 33 billion ton object. That means 5.5 billion tons of material should have been ejected into space, creating an enormous, unmistakable cloud of gas and dust surrounding the nucleus. If the acceleration is natural, if it's just extreme sublimation of ice, JUICE will see that cloud immediately. There's no way to hide 5.5 billion tons of ejected material. But if JUICE doesn't see it, if the cloud isn't there, or isn't nearly massive enough to explain the acceleration, then the natural explanation fails. And we are left with only one alternative. Atlas has a propulsion system. Tomorrow, we get our answer to that question. JUICE's instruments will reveal whether there's massive outgassing or whether this 5-kilometer object is accelerating through some other mechanism, some artificial mechanism. But that's not all we're watching for. Atlas has accumulated 9 statistical anomalies since its discovery in July. Its trajectory aligns perfectly with our planetary disk. Its composition resembles industrial alloys. It arrived from the WOW signal direction. It exhibited a sunward jet-defying physics. It's blue when it should be red. And now, non-gravitational acceleration. When you multiply the probabilities of these 9 anomalies occurring naturally in a single object, you get odds of roughly 1 in 10 quadrillion. That's not just unlikely, that's functionally impossible. So tomorrow, when JUICE makes its flyby, we're not just looking for a gas cloud. We're looking for any sign of what this object really is. Has it fragmented into multiple pieces? Has its brightness changed dramatically? Has the coma expanded or contracted? Are there geometric structures visible that shouldn't exist on a natural comet? And critically, for the first time since October 29th, we can track its trajectory again. We can measure its exact position. We can calculate whether the non-gravitational acceleration continued, increased, or stopped. We can see if Atlas is following pure gravitational physics plus random outgassing, or if something is actively guiding its path through our solar system. This is why November 4th matters. This is why the next 48 hours could be historic. For 6 days, we've been blind. For 6 days, we've had no data. For 6 days, we've waited to see what perihelion did to the most mysterious object humanity has ever observed. Tomorrow, the waiting ends. Tomorrow, JUICE reacquires Atlas. Tomorrow, telescopes around the world will turn toward it again. And tomorrow, we start getting answers. The implications are staggering. If JUICE detects massive outgassing, if there's clear evidence of natural sublimation, then Atlas is an exotic but natural comet. Unusual? Yes. Statistically improbable? Absolutely. But fundamentally, a product of natural processes in another stellar system. But if that cloud isn't there, if the acceleration remains unexplained by natural outgassing, then we're facing something unprecedented. 2 interstellar objects, both ʻOumuamua and Atlas, both exhibiting non-gravitational acceleration, both lacking natural explanations. At that point, the simplest conclusion becomes impossible to avoid. We're looking at technology. We're observing spacecraft. We're witnessing active missions from another civilization operating in our solar system. November 4th is the first test, but it's not the only one. On December 19th, Atlas makes its closest approach to Earth at 269 million kilometers. Every major observatory will observe it. Hubble, Webb, ground-based telescopes around the world. The International Asteroid Warning Network begins its intensive monitoring campaign on November 27th. Running through January 27th, 3 full months of coordinated global observation. By Christmas, we'll have comprehensive data. We'll know if the massive gas cloud exists. We'll know if the non-gravitational acceleration continues. We'll know if Atlas behaved like an exotic natural comet or like something that defies natural categorization. But tomorrow is when it begins. Tomorrow is when the blackout ends and the data starts flowing again. Tomorrow is when we get our first glimpse of what happened during those 6 invisible days behind the sun. The key questions to remember: is there a massive debris cloud around Atlas? If yes, natural outgassing explains the acceleration. If no, we have a serious problem for the natural explanation. Did Atlas maneuver during perihelion? Velocity changes of even meters per second will be detectable now that we can track it again. What does it look like after maximum solar heating? Brighter, dimmer, fragmented, intact, changed or unchanged? Has the mysterious blue color persisted? Or was it a temporary phenomenon at perihelion? These aren't abstract scientific questions anymore. These are concrete observations that JUICE and ground-based telescopes will make in the next 48 hours. The data is coming. The answers are coming. And depending on what that data shows, we're either looking at the most exotic natural comet ever discovered, or we're looking at confirmed extraterrestrial technology passing through our solar system right now. 6 days ago, Atlas disappeared behind the sun. Tomorrow, it emerges. And when it does, when those first post-perihelion images arrive, when JUICE sends back its observations, we'll know whether the mystery deepens or begins to resolve. The countdown is almost over. The moment of truth is hours away. Tomorrow morning, the European Space Agency's JUICE spacecraft makes contact. Data begins flowing. Images arrive. Scientists analyze every pixel, every spectrum, every measurement, and then we'll know. We'll finally know what perihelion did to Atlas. we'll know if the natural explanation holds, or if we need to accept something far more extraordinary. This is not speculation. This is not theory. This is observation. This is data. This is science happening in real time with an object we can measure and track and analyze. November 4th, tomorrow, the blackout ends. Stay connected. Because when those first JUICE observations come back, when we see what Atlas looks like after 6 days behind the sun, you'll want to know immediately what they reveal. Follow for updates, because the mystery is about to take another turn, and this time, we'll be watching.